What made you go, wow, this person is an absolute psycho? An old boss of mine during a lunch meeting flirted with the waitress and pressed her for her number. She was clearly uncomfortable, but my boss was a regular and tipped well, so she gave him a number. After she walked away, my boss bragged about how he's a major ladies' man and could sleep with any woman he wants given the chance to swoon them. He continued that conversation in detail for about 20 minutes before finally saying, "I'm stressing all of this to you, Goopy, because I want you to understand how easy it would be for me to take your girl if you ever cross me." He then began to tear up and with a small sob said, "Please don't make me wreck your life, man." That's the day I started searching for new jobs. Edit. To clarify, this wasn't a manager. He was the owner of the company and the lunch was his gift to me for being promoted to management. She had been dressing like me and styling, coloring her hair to be like mine for months. The final straw, the moment I realized she wasn't okay, was when she pulled me aside to tell me that she doesn't like my other friends calling me their friend. And I quote, "Because you're mine." Nope. After the friendship ended, she took to cyberbullying me and started dressing like her new friend. Big yikes. Worked for a staging company that built truss grids for concerts. About 500 steel pins of the wrong size got sent to us. These things were about £1 each with a pointed tip. One of the techs filled a big gulp cup with them and kept it in the center console of his car to throw them at other vehicles if they pissed him off. At highway speeds they easily could have been lethal. My ex-boyfriend of 4 months is still stalking me 8 months after the breakup. He's tried to get me on a 72 hours hold. He's called my therapist's office. He came and hand-delivered a letter to my house. Amongst other things, I had to file a harassment complaint with the sheriff, which made him back off in some aspects. But he's still pretty active in trying to get my info etc. online. And I don't have enough for a restraining order. So I just have to deal with it. All of this after what I thought was an amicable breakup. I'm still dealing with him trying to Facebook friend the most fringe people in my life, such as my massage therapist, because all of my actual friends know better than to talk to him. Luckily I've since moved and changed jobs, so he has no idea where I am. Dude from an old place I used to work at told me stories about how he was bullied growing up, so he resorted to following people home out of passive-aggressive insecurities. While I'm empathetic towards his experience growing up, his actions in his adult years have been borderline criminal to stalking levels. He was also a huge kiss-ass that stabbed you in the back once he got chummy with upper management. He didn't last long. My ex-BF bit his own arm till he was bleeding mid-argument talking about, "You made me do this." No. Sir, I was just trying to get my point across, then you decided to do that skull. Had a friend in middle school. We would text, message on MySpace throughout the night talking about how we were vampires and all the vampire stuff we were getting into. Peak Twilight era. One day she came to school, legitimately angry at me because I had been lying about being a vampire. I remember looking at her and being like, "Oh yeah, we're like role-playing, obviously. What do you mean?" And she went on a full spill about how she was not role-playing and I was a lying loser idiot who tricked her and she was a real vampire. Damn it. I just remember backing away slowly and thinking, this bitch is crazy. Listen, like 15 years later I can confirm, she wasn't as crazy as hell. This dude lives in a house with his wife, and the nanny and the kids. And the in-laws, when they come, stay down the hill in another house. There's a big in-ground pool separating the two houses. The children aren't allowed in their house. And they barely see the kids. Just come down for an hour around bedtime. And not even every night. The oldest kid was 7. Tom Cruise's 91.5-minute interview about Scientology. He's in a dark turtleneck for reference. He sounds loco and laughs like a madman. I had a customer who knew that her entire family had been replaced by actors. Those had gone through extensive surgery and training to mimic their body language, way of speaking and such, while all memories of the relative they replaced had been transferred to them with a chip in the arm. She told me she was a nurse and had witnessed this in other cases. It's really crazy. This actor lives in the house of your relative, looks like him, speaks like him, knows everything that happened 20 years ago. But this isn't your relative. Quote, she was 100% convinced of this. Not the smallest doubt. Her main concern was what happened to her real family. Only years later I learned this is called Kagra delusion. I hope she got help, and that she could reunite with her family. When my next-door neighbor, after a day of literally shrieking and howling and breaking things in her apartment, opened her back door and yeeted her pet duck into the yard. She then spent the next solid hour chasing it, while shrieking and howling at it. Poor duck. I found out my ex cheated on me again and he threatened to kill himself. He staged a whole scene with a knife and bottle of pills and shut himself in a room. When I finally got in there, he told me to call 911, and when they picked up, he suddenly told me to hang up. When I asked why, he completely shut the whole thing off and went completely straight-faced and calm, and told me he was just trying to manipulate me. When she started sending me pictures of her new boyfriend, half naked, then showed up at my work to tell me how he felt about me based on what she told him. I'm so glad I ran far and fast from that one. When anyone on my in-law side thinks that my brother-in-law, who is a child rapist, should be around children or women, and defends him when I speak out, I would just say my brother-in-law, but I have too many reasons to list why he is a psycho. When I taught 6th grade, during the first week a kid broke one of my coffee mugs, cut their hands, and then proceeded to wipe blood all over my classroom. Perhaps the scariest part was the other kids in the class seemed unfazed as I escorted them out of the room while admin tried to stop him. He's about 18 now, and I hope he's okay and got help. Friend's sister was having an affair with a married guy. When she found out he wasn't going to leave his wife for her, she got drunk, drove to his house where his wife was, beeped her car horn for ages until he and wife came out, and started trying to fight his wife. Not him. His wife. His wife, being in her 60s and she being 30 by the way, had an inkling she wasn't a great person, but finding out about the affair, and this was a big, yeah, you're right, something ain't right moment. My ex's mom signed herself up to porn sites and then told people I hacked her. I failed IT in school and only vaguely know what a VPN is. There's no way I'm hacking anyone, but the fact that she was willing to ruin her own email to make me look bad is pretty psycho tbh. Told my bestie I was getting a matching memorial tattoo with my sibling in order to remember my brother who was killed by a drunk driver. She was offended I wasn't getting my first tattoo with her and tried to pitch matching bestie tats. Next, said she couldn't believe I didn't think our bond was as special as the one I had with my dead sibling, and it made her feel insecure. I lost about 160 pounds that month. Good riddance. I asked a coworker if I had bedhead one day. About an hour later she stormed angrily into a class one was teaching and ordered me out. I said I'd see her once the class was finished. Once we met, we had one of the most baffling, extremely tetchy chats ever, about how I knew what I was doing. Asking that, I didn't know what she was on about. She was literally spitting with anger. I later found out she wore a wig, and somehow construed my innocent question about bedhead as a snarky comment about her baldness. Note to everyone here: not everyone notices things about you. Sorry to break it to you, but they probably aren't all sitting around plotting ingenious ways to make fun of things like this. You're simply not that important. Sorry again. I know this is deflating to hear. Psycho-paranoid behavior. I work in surgery and I watched one of the orthos shove his dripping wet hands into his surgical gloves without drying them. You could see the wetness through the glove before he put the second pair on. Absolute madman. Not to be messed with.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.